All right, today we're cracking open one of the most legendary self-help books ever written. We're going to get right into the story and the ideas behind Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, a philosophy that has literally changed millions of lives. So let's get right to it. To really get what Hill was talking about, you have to understand where he came from. And his story, wow, it doesn't start with money or connections. It starts with pure, grinding poverty. A hunger so real, he was literally eating bark off of trees just to survive. That's the ground floor where this entire philosophy was built. So yeah, this first part is all about that incredible underdog story. It's the classic rags to riches tale, but it's really about how he climbed out of this impossible situation by unlocking the power that was inside his own head the whole time. Hill himself called his starting point a heritage of 5 evils. Think about that. It wasn't just that he was poor. He was born into an environment that was just steeped in ignorance, constant fear, illiteracy, and maybe the worst one of all, hopelessness. These were the chains he started out with. So how in the world do you break chains like that? Well, for Hill, the key was just one person. His own father used to introduce him as the meanest boy in Wise County. But his new stepmother, she looked at him and saw something else entirely. She was the very first person in his life who actually believed in him. And you can just feel the power of that, right? In his own words, you can see how that one simple act of belief completely changed how he saw himself. It was like a light switch flicked on. It was the spark that led him to discover his talent for writing and set his life on a totally different course. Okay, so all of this is leading up to one single moment, a moment that would define his entire life's purpose. And it was all based on a decision he made in less time than it takes to read this slide. As a young reporter, Hill somehow manages to get an interview with the industrialist Andrew Carnegie, at the time, one of the richest men on the planet. But this wasn't just going to be an interview, it was a test. So Carnegie lays out this absolutely insane challenge. He says, look, I'll introduce you to the most successful people in the world, but you have to commit to spending the next 20 years, with no pay, studying them to figure out a single, universal philosophy of success. What would you even do with a question like that? Carnegie was secretly holding a stopwatch under his desk. He gave Hill exactly 1 minute to decide. And Hill? He said yes in just 29 seconds. He passed the test. For Carnegie, that split-second positive decision was all the proof he needed. He knew Hill had the right kind of mind for this mission, and that one 29-second yes kicked off a journey that would span decades and, well, change everything. So after all that, what did Hill actually find during those 20 years? Well, his research wasn't about business strategies or market trends. It was all about mastering the one tool that every single one of us has complete control over, our own mind. I love this slide because it shows how clearly Hill saw the fork in the road. He said there are really only 2 ways to think. The failure mindset is completely trapped by the past, always talking about what went wrong, jealous of other people's wins. But the success mindset, it treats the past like a textbook. It learns from what happened and then actively looks to other successful people to learn from them. And this is so crucial. A huge part of his philosophy is that you have to mentally close the door on past failures. He's not saying pretend they didn't happen. He's saying you have to stop letting them define who you are today. He believed every single failure carries with it the seed of an equivalent success, but you can only find that seed if you stop reliving yesterday's pain and start building tomorrow. And a big part of closing that door is fighting what Hill called the 6 basic fears. Just look at this list. The fear of being poor, of what other people will say, of getting sick. He saw these as these deep mental viruses that paralyze us. They're the ghosts in our own machine that stop us from taking action and sabotage our own potential. All right, everything we've talked about so far builds up to this one central idea. It's the culmination of that whole 20-year quest. He called it the supreme secret. So after interviewing hundreds of absolute giants, people like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Theodore Roosevelt, Hill realized they all had one thing in common, one single thread that ran through all of their massive achievements. And this is it. This is the absolute heart of Think and Grow Rich. Anything the human mind can believe, the human mind can achieve. The real power isn't in your circumstances or your bank account. It's in the strength and the absolute certainty of your own belief. So how does that actually work? Well, Hill's explanation is that your subconscious mind is the hidden boss. When you plant a firm, unwavering belief in there, not just a wish, but a belief, your subconscious gets to work. It starts giving orders to your conscious mind to make it happen. You program it with things like autosuggestion, repeating your goals, and vivid visualization until your everyday actions start to automatically align with that belief. So after discovering this elixir, Hill's final mission in life was to bring that knowledge back to the rest of us, to empower anyone and everyone to take command of their own destiny. And he didn't just write a book and call it a day. No, he created a whole system he called the science of personal achievement. He spent the rest of his life working to get it translated and taught all over the globe because he truly believed it could lift people out of the same kind of poverty and despair that he came from. And you can just see the dedication here. I mean, it all started with that single 29-second decision back in 1908. And from that moment on, he spent the next 60 years of his life researching, writing, and sharing this one powerful idea with the world. And this is where the whole thing comes right back to you. This famous line, it isn't just a pretty poem. It's a statement of radical personal responsibility. Hill's entire philosophy boils down to this: you are at the helm of the ship. You are the one who gives the orders. So really, the ultimate takeaway from this entire philosophy isn't an answer, it's a question. If Hill is right, if the only real limit is the one you place on your own belief, then what will you command your mind to achieve?